If you've been struggling with coming up with product descriptions that actually sell your products, you're definitely going to want to tune in to today's show because I'm going to give you my 5 best practices for writing product descriptions that sell. So stick around and have a listen. Ugh. It's that time of day again. Time to get up and make someone else rich. Hi there and welcome to the Build Your Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Thompson. Over the years, I've taken the skills I've learned as a dedicated employee in multiple fields and turned it into a thriving 6-figure online business to create a wealth of my own. Now I'm here to teach you how to do the same thing. I share my successes and failures as an online business owner with you to help you avoid the pitfalls that can come with being an entrepreneur in the online space. It's my goal to help you achieve your success faster, adopt the right mindset for that success, and to show you how failing forward is all part of the process in building your wealth instead of someone else's. This is the Build Your Wealth podcast. Hey there, Nicole Thompson here. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Wealth podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm super excited that you're here today because today I'm going to be giving you my 5 best practices for writing killer product descriptions that are really going to sell your products and services. If you're setting up products on a sales page or on a website, there are several areas that you need to make sure that when you're filling them in, you're using keywords that'll help potential customers find your products in the search engines. Of course, there's your title, your product title, and your meta descriptions, and some of the more techie spots. But today we're going to be talking about the best practices for the actual product description so that you're creating an enticing description that'll not only show up in the search engines, but it'll actually get people wanting to buy that product or service once they're on your website. Now, before we actually get started, I know there's a lot of you that are new to the entrepreneurial world and that you're either just getting started or you'd like to get started creating your own business, and maybe you just don't really know where to begin. Well, I've created a new freebie that you can get right now. It's called the Beginner's 5-Step Roadmap to Online Business. And what it teaches is the how-to of print on demand. I've had a lot of people come to me and ask, how did I create my business without using a network marketing company or multi-level marketing MLM type business model? Because I've tried several of them, and honestly, I just don't like that business model. Nothing against anybody who wants to do that and is successful at it, because you can be successful at network marketing. It just didn't speak to me. So I had to dig deeper. I had to find another way. I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I knew I wanted my own company, and I knew I wanted it to be online. So what I created was based on a print-on-demand model. And what print-on-demand is a way that you can actually create a business without having to buy into any of the network marketing companies. As a matter of fact, with print-on-demand, there's little to no overhead because you literally don't have to buy into anything. You only have to purchase what your customers have already paid for. So it's a really ideal business model for someone who's just getting started, and it's completely scalable. So it's also ideal for someone who not only wants to get started, but wants to be successful. So if you've looked around and all you seem to be finding for online business ideas are the MLMs, but the MLM doesn't appeal to you, then this could potentially be a really great option for you. In my roadmap, I break it down into 5 simple steps to get you off the ground and get you up and running and get your own print-on-demand business started. To download your free copy, go to NicoleThompsonNow.com/how-to-pod. That's NicoleThompsonNow.com/how-to-pod. I'll leave that in the show notes for you too, so you can always grab that after you've listened to this episode. Now let's get back to the episode. The first thing you want to establish in your product description is what problem does your product or service help solve? Your potential customers coming to your website with a problem that they need a solution to. They've already done a preliminary search in Google and they've come across your product link, which showed your product's title and a brief description that was enticing enough to get them to click through your link and come to your website to want to learn more. By getting them to follow that link to your website, you essentially set the hook. You've got them interested, but they likely want to know more about this product or service before they actually commit to making a purchase. This is where the full product description really comes into play. So one of the first things that you want to do is answer that question immediately. And that question would be, what problem does this product or service solve? The second thing that you want to do here is you want to set the scene. As you're writing out what problem your product solves, it's a great chance to give them a for instance, meaning an example of this product or service being used in a real life situation. Here's what I mean. So say your product is a tennis ball. By setting the scene, you may want to talk about being in a park setting with your dog or getting ready for that tennis match, bouncing the ball at the side of the court. You want to give your potential customer a feeling of what it would actually feel like to be using your product or service. Put them right there in the moment. The third best practice is to use layman's terms. If your product or service is really techy, or maybe it's something that's a little bit complicated, it's something that you understand inside and out because it's your product, it's your service. It's what you do every single day. It's your expertise. But when you're trying to talk to someone, a potential customer, where you want them to buy into it, you want to use the terms that they would likely use themselves. Because if you're using big words that they don't understand, or not even necessarily big words, but words that are the jargon of what it is that you do. Let's see, let me give you an example here. So say you're a graphics design instructor. You teach people how to use one of the graphic design programs, but this is someone who's completely new to any of these programs, or even new to being in the industry at all. If you start using terminology like vector graphics or rasterizing or saving fonts as outlines, you're going to lose those potential customers so flippin' fast. Because if it feels like it's too complicated, or if it feels like they don't understand what it is you're selling or talking about, then they can't picture themselves using that product successfully. So when you're describing your products or services, you want to make sure you're using layman's terms so that the potential newbie customer is going to understand what it is specifically that product or service can do for them in a way that they're going to understand it and be able to put it into use themselves and to put themselves in a position of actually using that product or service. Number 4 for best practices in product descriptions on your website is use bullet points. Search engines love bullet points. They're easy to pull in and read when the search engine of your site's looking for keywords. And it's also a really easy way for your potential customers to come in and scan your product description to find those key elements that are going to stand out as something that they really want to get specifically out of that product or service. And the 5th best practice for writing product descriptions is to use crystal clear keywords. And I can't stress this enough. All of these practices pretty much tie together because it's all going into the same portion of your website. But what I really want to drive home here is that you need to be sticking with words that your customers use. The easiest way to have your customers find your products in the search engines is by using keywords that they would normally be searching for. So what you're going to want to do here is put yourself in the shoes of your potential customer and think about how they're going to type something into the Google search bar. Don't write product descriptions based on the words in the industry. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have them in there, but really focus on the words that your customers are going to be searching. The more specifically you can get down to using the words of your potential customers, the more your potential customers are going to find your products and services in the search engines. So here's a quick recap of the 5 best practices that you should be using to really have killer descriptions to sell your products and services like crazy. Number 1, answer the question of how this product or service can help them solve a problem. Number 2, set the scene. Give them an example where they can envision themselves in a situation where they're using that product or service successfully. Really put them in the moment. Number 3, use layman's terms. Make sure you're using the words that your customers would be using and not the techie jargon that you know, which is all in the back end of what it is that you do. Number 4, use bullet points. By using bullet points, you're pulling out the major important highlights of what that product or service offers and can do for them, making it easy for them to quickly scan your site to find out exactly what they want to know right away without having to read the full product description. And number 5, use crystal clear keywords. This one kind of plays a little bit with number 3, using layman's terms, by again going hand in hand with one another, as do all of these best practices, because all of these things working together will give you a really great, effective product description. And that's it. Writing product descriptions really isn't that complicated. They do take time to compose, and if you really want to do an effective product description, you want to make sure that all of these best practices are put into place in every product description that you have. And the more you do it, you'll eventually get into a flow. Plus, you can use the ones that you've created as a template once you get it all set up, and then you can build on that. It's not something that needs to become your life's ambition and your life's pursuit. But a solid product description with all these key points being hit on will definitely give you a better edge in the search engines and amplify your sales on your website. Because the people coming to your product descriptions are getting their questions answered right away, giving them the confidence to purchase your product or service in knowing that it's going to help them to solve their problem, and you're also getting them in the moment when they're most primed to make that purchase because they've come to your website ready to solve their problem. So next week, I'm going to be talking about getting past the fear of asking for that sale. So make sure that you're subscribed to the show so you don't miss that next episode when it goes live. I hope this episode was super helpful for you and that you're going to start writing some killer product descriptions and start getting some really big time sales. I'll talk to you again next week. You've been listening to the Build Your Wealth podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to the show. I've included any links to specifics mentioned in the show notes section below so you can easily grab them there. I hope you'll consider leaving a review for me and let me know what you thought about the show, and if it helped you or resonated with you in some way, I'd love to hear about that too. Thanks again, and I'll see you over on the next episode to your success.